What's poppin', my squad? What's good? What's going on, everybody? So I don't know why I got this buttoned up. I wanted to try something new, but it don't feel right. It don't look right. This don't feel right either. All right, let's get it. So we have E3 in just less than a week. All right, so that's awesome in and itself. But I was not expecting something like this to come up. You know, Sony has been very quiet since this whole E3 season has started, since leaks have been being talked about, and it feels like every article I'm reading the interviewers are asking Sony about Bloodborne 2. And they're not saying anything. Regardless, you know, we're not exactly talking about E3. Now, this article that we're going to be reading together and I'll be telling my thoughts about, it does talk about E3. And I'll just say it right now. Sony does talk about and say they have big Japanese announcements for E3. We're going to get to that whenever we get to that part in the article as well. But I just want to throw it out there. I also want to say he does talk about the PlayStation Vita in this article. So yeah, it's gonna be so good. It's gonna be some good shit going on here. But regardless, all right. So we're gonna, like I said, we're gonna read through this article, and it's basically Sony had an interview with Times. I think it was with Times, because this article's already been spread out. It's not even been like 5 hours since it's been out. But I think it's with Times, and it's Shawn Layden and Ryan. Hold up. Shawn Layden and Jim Ryan are the two people that they interviewed to get all this information. So let's begin. So the title is called Everything Sony Told Us About the Future of PlayStation. Now, we're not going to read through every single thing. I'm only going to label out and read the parts that are probably most interesting from you and me. Dog, there's so much going on in this article that I just had to talk about. I had to talk about it. So it says, pull your gaze from Nintendo's bedazzling Switch. We'll talk about that in a different video. All right, let's just get to this. For a moment and consider Sony's now widespread PlayStation 4. Console sales have in general outperformed the most buoyant analysts and pundit prognostications. I don't know what he's saying. Not merely because of Nintendo's overnight dark horse or its scarce as hen's teeth NES classic. I couldn't even realize what he was saying. Sony's PlayStation 4 is having some belt-notching moments of its own. You're damn right. Sony now says its flagship games platform has sold through, meaning to buyers and not just stores, close to 60 million units worldwide since its launch in November of 2013. That, according to Sony global game development boss Shawn Layden, is the fastest pace set by any PlayStation life to date, including the all-time industry recent holder, PlayStation 2. That is incredible. So the PlayStation 4 is literally setting records, and we're all witnessing it at a more mature age. You know, for me, PlayStation 2 era, I wasn't that old, so it's kind of just like, it didn't mean much to me. And as I've been getting older, as I've been doing YouTube more and stuff, I feel like gaming has become more important in my life. Not even just specific, I'm talking about just the games industry. I've never been so into it like I have been as of the last year, I would say. So this is honestly memorial in a sense. We're seeing records being broken in our own eyes. It's awesome, and none other than the company we all love. That's what makes it even better. As you recall, last year we performed the daredevil stunt of launching 3 new pieces of hardware in 60 days. Probably won't do that again, quips Layden during a sit down with Time. He's talking about the $399 PlayStation 4 Pro, a souped up PlayStation 4 that Apple love, PlayStation VR, $399 virtual reality headset, and the slimmer and sleeker $299 version of the PlayStation 4. Now, I didn't even think about that. I mean, I guess that is 3 hardwares, and he says in the span of 60 days. That is really funny. That is definitely some ballsy moves by them. Like, how do you just insert, oh my god, all that, oh my god, like, only, that's the thing though, it's like only the working class can afford all these things, you know. So PlayStation is just melting into a very mature atmosphere, I guess you could say. But they're bringing in, because I'm gonna get to it now. I'm kind of jumping the gun, but he even says, or maybe this wasn't in this article, I think somewhere else someone kind of talks about PlayStation VR in the sense that it's not even for hardcore gamers anymore. PlayStation VR is more so for just to experience what gaming is going, how it's progressed since the times back then to how it's going to be soon. That's kind of what VR is, and PlayStation VR is literally that gateway because it's an affordable VR. You don't need to buy a PC. All you gotta do is buy two simple things. Okay, they're a little bit of money, but all you gotta do is buy 2 things and you're gonna be able to try it out. And on that note, guys, the reason why I'm getting so worked up on VR. I feel like you might not know because I don't really talk about VR much, but I just tried VR last week, okay? And that shit was ridiculous. I played Farpoint. That shit was ridiculous. Freaking ridiculous. You guys don't understand. And they also say that the sales have been booming, which is very, very good because like he says, a daredevil stunt, but it's paying off, okay? 1 million units of PSVR, 60 million PS4s. You're doing good, Sony. Right here, it says PlayStation VR now boasts more than 1 million units sold worldwide, up from 900,000 in February 2017. So obviously the sales kind of did slow down after the release, which is normal, but 1 million VRs sold. Now, before it even hit 1 million, 900,000 was the highest selling amount for any VR in the market, as in Oculus and Vive. I believe those are the only two. So already prior to this time, before the million, it was already the most selling VR. I think Oculus was the closest thing with like 700 or something. I don't know, maybe it wasn't even that close, but regardless, Oculus was the closest thing. Now that's crazy for it only being out for not even like a full year, barely even half a year. So PlayStation is doing good right now. Let's hope that they don't get cocky. All right, but let's continue. It says, according to Sony, it's been sold out from day one, and we don't see it as a fad. It's a brand new medium, not only for gaming entertainment but non-gaming entertainment, says Layden. That's what I was talking about, because like I said, my mom tried VR. Okay, she tried it, and she didn't want to try it at all because she doesn't really care for games at all. She's a scientist, come on now. So she didn't care about it at all. You know, she thought it was okay, like you see something on your head, but you don't understand VR until you try it. You literally, like, even the Gear VR stuff, that gives you a little glimpse, but once you start playing real games like Farpoint, dog, I'm telling you, this shit is ridiculous. And then he says, of every 5 PlayStation 4s Sony sells, 1 is a PlayStation 4 Pro. And he says, a laudable achievement given its $100 price premium. Enthusiast target demographic and the necessity. They use Times Magazine is too complex for me. Can't even read this shit. Of the 4K television market, where its real allure lies. So now I've been wanting to make a video about this whole PlayStation 4 Pro and Scorpio. Let me know if you guys would be interested on that talk. I don't know how much you guys care about that, but like it's more so talking about the whole Scorpio and this whole halfway point of upgrading. You know, it's a very interesting thing, and I personally think Sony is smarter in this sense, but we're not going to talk about that for now. It is way ahead of our expectations, as Sony Global Sales Chief Jim Ryan. As with PSVR, and I suppose in forecasting these things, we haven't done a very good job. The product is in desperately short supply, so that's 1 in 5 under severe constraint. Layden says the Japanese publishers are also coming back, listing off recent games like Resident Evil 7, Neo, Nier Automata, Persona 5, and Final Fantasy 15 as examples. That's super important for us, he says. I think a lot of Japanese developers lost their way chasing the mobile games yen, if you will, but they're coming back to console in a major way. And speaking of, we'll have some big announcements at E3 in that precise vein. Vein, yeah, because vein is with the A. Yeah. So there you have it. You know, he's already telling us that Sony Japan Studio has been putting in work. And if you watched my video, okay, about what is Sony cooking up for E3 2017, you would have already known this. Sony Japan is working on 3+ games, 3+, and we only know about probably 2 in a sense, while the other ones have all been hidden. Sony Japan has been putting in work, and this is literally a confirmation for me. All the research has been accurate. You heard it here first. And then this is where he starts on the Vita situation. He says, another winning so far formula few saw coming is Nintendo's notion of a games console you can play anywhere you like, shifting from your hands to your TV in seconds. In 2005, Sony began its own foray into handheld gaming with a device dubbed the PlayStation Portable. The PSP sold in excess of 80 million units, and in 2012, a follow-up dubbed the PlayStation Vita arrived. A contemporaneously mighty mobile, mighty mobile, but one that sold a fraction as many units. In light of what Nintendo seems to be illustrating, that there's an appetite for a consumer device that preserves the higher end console experience on the go. Would Sony ever revisit a once formidable bailiwick. Dog, Times Magazine, y'all gotta stop with these big words. I don't read books. I need to change that. And so that's whenever some very interesting things comes up, and it kind of just sparked a light in my head as I was reading this. Layden calls the Switch a great success for Nintendo and admits that it's definitely what the fanbase has been waiting for, but he sees the system as less a rival than a complimentary traveler, claiming that Switch sales have had no discernible impact on the sell-through of PlayStation 4. When you look at our numbers, I think it shows that a lot of gamers are a two-console family, he adds. And quite often, those two consoles are PlayStation and Nintendo sitting side by side. Now, I can tell you right now, Layden, I don't like how you're being a little cocky about it, but I can tell you right now, you are not lying, my guy. This shit sits right smack dab next to my sexy ass PS4, and it's gonna stay there for the rest of my life. This shit is so sexy, but then the PS4 is so perfect. Dog, these bitches are they just live in harmony. But of course, you know, Sony does have something to actually rival it, but just the way that he says that obviously means, you know, he's not really worried about it anymore. And just listen to this. Layden says Sony still views the Vita as a viable development platform, though new Western releases have slowed to a trickle. He notes games are still being made for it in Japan, but for now, a Vita successor isn't in the cards. To be honest, the Vita just didn't reach critical mass in the US or Western Europe, he says. I don't know if it was, I'm not even gonna read this because it just makes me kind of mad. What you mean you don't know what it was? Nigga, it was because y'all niggas just didn't know how to handle this shit, alright? Y'all didn't know how to handle it. We're just gonna move on. Then they kind of talk about the old games, okay? And he talks about backwards compatibility. So let's just read what he says right here. He said, because like they asked him like, oh, you guys gonna start backwards compatibility? What you guys gonna do about older games that people want to play? That's the whole topic. And then he goes and says, when we've dabbled with backwards compatibility, I can say it is one of those features that is much requested, but not actually used much, says Ryan. Now I feel like that has some truth in it, and it's some lies. That, and I was at a Gran Turismo event recently where they had PS1, 2, 3, and 4 games, and the PS1 and 2 games, they looked ancient. Like, why would anyone play this? Now, see, that's something that I would say, depending on the game. But as a general aspect, if you showed me an older game, I'm gonna be like, what are you doing? You know, so I'll be like, what are you doing? Get that out of my face. I don't care. Unless, of course, like I said, it's a game like Persona, who they kind of age forever in a sense that they're always going to be there. Okay, the graphics don't look good, but like the story-wise, it's always going to be amazing. So unless it's a game like that, I'm probably going to say the same thing, but you can't be saying stuff like that. Like I said, I can agree with him, but I wouldn't say it like that. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, there are some games that I do want to backwards compatibility to play, but I don't know about that old, you know, I don't know. Lastly, he says, as for the experience awaiting PlayStation buffs when the curtains lift on Sony's E3 media event, live stream from the show, Layden says to think of it less as a press conference than a software showcase. He says the crowd will only have to suffer, I think, an aggregate 90 seconds of me, he jokes, and in the middle will be all games. So, and I saw another article where they pulled this out. They said that it's going to be very similar to how it was run last year, where it's more games just basically being shown, and then yeah. So with E3 really coming in like a couple days, dog, it's been crazy. I have another video I'm gonna be putting out this week about the Switch. I basically figured out, there was another article I read of why the Switch stock is so low, and I was gonna highlight that and also talk about that. I'll talk about my experience getting this thing as well in that video, but for now, you know, I just want to put this out there. The future of PlayStation is looking bright, and like I said in my other video where I did all the 19 minutes long, dog, you know, it's funny how I put that video out, and ever since we just been getting more confirmations that literally greatness is coming this E3, and I can't wait. But other than that, that's all I gotta say. Like I said, let me know what y'all think about everything he said, PS4, PS Vita, Nintendo Switch, all that stuff. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Other than that, this is my new house. I forgot, since I did record a video, I forgot that I'm in a new house, and I forgot to let y'all know, but yeah, this isn't my normal house. We might have to do an update video because I haven't talked to y'all in a little bit. We'll do that later. But other than that, that's all I gotta say, and I will see you all in the next video. Peace. You see, I'm waiting and they hating, and I'm sipping on my tea. Bad bitch walking past, may I stop you?
please. And I'm hungry as a bitch, but this life ain't free. If I'm trying to get this money, I can't really shake a tree. I be working, it's a 3:15. When I stop